All right, so we're going to pick up where the last video left off. This would also be where you would start if you are working with JPEGs or PNGs or not RAW files, essentially. This is where you would pick up. So the first thing that we want to do when we get our image into Photoshop is just, so the last video ended with me editing a bunch of images and opening a bunch of images into Photoshop. So here they are right here. They all open as individual tabs on the top of the Photoshop workspace. I know that there's a ton of information on this screen, right? There's so many different little, buttons and tabs and all of that. We're not going to be able to dive into all of that stuff, right? Photoshop is a pretty complex tool. We're just using it for like the very basic editing. And we're primarily doing that in Adobe Camera Raw, which was the software right before this that's attached to Photoshop. But we do have to do a couple things in Photoshop. The first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure to set the proof colors of our artwork so that it is in the same color space. Our files on our website are in the same color space as most computer monitors and cell phones across the world. Cameras tend to operate on a different color space than monitors, right? Because a camera is trying to do something differently than a monitor is doing, right? Image generating as opposed to image displaying. And so that's the reason that we have to go in and switch these. So to do that, I always get confused about this, but you go into the View menu in Photoshop, and you go Proof Setup, and we're going to go down to Internet Standard RGB. If for some reason your computer or whatever software you're using doesn't have what's called Internet Standard RGB, you're going to see something that says sRGB. sRGB. That is what we want to use. That is the color space that most computers that that have been updated in the last decade are going to understand. So remember, what we're trying to do with color space is make it that our images look on everybody else's computer like what it looks like on ours. So we want to make sure to go and do that for every one of our files. View, Proof Setup, sRGB, View, Proof Setup, sRGB, Filter, Proof Setup, View, Setup, RGB, and okay. And when we're doing this, right, we see little tiny changes when we did that, right? Like View, Proof Setup. Let's see if I can get this again. Let's switch it back to working CMYK. We see that it actually changes what our image looks like, but that's what we want, right? It might not be like, oh, this is what we want our picture to look like. We might like what it looks like better in working CMYK as opposed to sRGB, but that is going to be something that isn't going to serve us because we're not going to be in control of how it's displaying on everybody else's computer, where we can go and make some edits after the fact, after we set that color space, to make our image then look how we want it to look again. All right, so I'm going to go back to the first image. To zoom in on Photoshop, you can use either this magnifying tool right here. The magnifying tool allows you to zoom in, and you can click this menu up here, and you can use it to zoom out. So that's the magnifying tool right here, and the plus to zoom in, the minus to zoom out. I am going to zoom in a little bit to this magnet right here. The other thing is, when you are zoomed in, you can scroll through the image by holding down the space bar, which turns the icon to this little hand, and you can click and scroll through the image like this. Boop, 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 like that. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to grab what's called the Spot Heal tool. It's this one right here. It looks like a Band-Aid with a little half circle growing out of it. And this is a brush, so the brushes are controlled with this menu right here. You can make it larger or smaller. There's other ways to adjust this, but we're just going to worry about the size right now. You essentially want your brush to be around the same size as the object, maybe slightly bigger. I'm going to go like, something like right there. That's a pretty good size for this thing. The way that the Spot Heal brush works is you click and drag over the thing you want to remove. So I want to remove this little bit of a magnet from my image. So I'm going to click and drag over it and let go. And what happens is Photoshop analyzes all the information around it and then replaces what you clicked and drug over with the information around it. It creates new information. It's not copying other parts of the file. It's actually just generating new information based on the information around it. So if I want to get rid of this magnet, click and drag over, let go, there you go. If I want to get rid of these spots over here, click, drag over, let go. This spot, click, drag over, let go. What you don't want to get in the habit of with this tool is doing something like, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. You don't want to get in the habit of like, if I wanted to get rid of this number 39, I wouldn't grab the tool and just go one swell swoop, try to get rid of a bunch of stuff at once. Because when it did a pretty good job right there, but sometimes you select too much information and it gets confused. You want to limit it to like little chunks of information, not giant chunks of information. There's a little magnet peeking right there. Get rid of that. A little magnet peeking right there. Get rid of that. All right. That looks pretty good to me. So now I'm going to go through the steps of, actually, let me do that to one other file. Here's another file right here. If I want to get rid of this stuff on the background, whatever this sketchbook was photographed on, I want to go and do that. If I want to get rid of this date and the signature or whatever this is, I could do that too, right? By clicking and dragging over it. If you do something that you're like, oh, there it is, but I don't like it, you can always go to Edit, Undo, Edit, Undo, and go back steps before you did it. I wouldn't really use this tool to get rid of giant things. It's a really useful tool, but it's a tool that could easily get you into trouble if you take it too far. Same thing with this image. We're just going to get rid of these magnets real quick. I'm going to make sure to do a good job. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of notifications on my phone. I don't know if you guys are hearing those. Zooming around, zoom down. Oh, there's a magnet right there. Get rid of those. These parts of the file are really small, so don't drive yourself nuts to make it look perfect. This is a really small thing that's going to show up on a website. Try to get rid of them, but don't drive yourself nuts, if there's like little indications that they existed. That looks pretty good to me. Go to this one. Same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing, and same thing. Okay, I'm going to leave the other ones alone because I actually want to talk about this one in a second. And actually, let's do it. This one has like a weird little corner that's kind of bleeding in there. Let's see if the brush does a good job of like filling in that corner. It did, right? So it just took that yellow information and kind of squared it off a little bit. So, use this tool for sure. It's pretty useful, but don't go too crazy with it because you might make a mess. All right, that looks pretty good. So I just clone stamped all of those images, or I'm sorry, spot heel brushed all of those images. Now we're going to resize our image. This is going to be a really important step. You do not just want to put a full high-res image on a website. It will bog your website down. So to resize our image, we're going to go to Image, Image Size, and the specifications that I've asked in the assignment for you to resize these at are really, pretty standard across the internet. And remember, in this menu, you're not working from top to bottom. You're working from resolution, then up to width and height. So you have to start with the resolution, and anything on the web, anything on the internet, anything viewed on a computer screen, we want to be at a resolution of 72 pixels per inch. And we want them to be at the long edge to be 2500 pixels. So this is a horizontal image. The horizontal is longer than the vertical. So I'm going to switch the width to 2500. Because this lock button is on, I know it's on because of these two white brackets, it automatically sets the height without distorting the image. Now, you're definitely going to want to make sure that this measurement is not in inches, that it's actually in pixels. 2500 inches is, I'm going to just do this on my phone really quick. I'm going to do the math just because I keep saying this and I'm like, wait, actually how big is 2500 inches? So if I look at 2500 inches, 2500 divided by 12, that is 2500 divided by 12 inches. Okay. No, that's not right. Never mind. I'm going to figure this math out on my own and then I'll get back to you about it. Regardless, you don't want it on inches, you want it on pixels. 2500 pixels is a lot smaller of a file than 2500 inches. Make sure to have that right. So just to recoup, we got resolution of 72, a width of 2500. We're going to hit OK. Perfect. Go to the next file. This file is a vertical file. The long edge is the vertical, not the horizontal. So I'm going to go Image, Image Size, start with resolution, The height has to be 2500. The width changes in relationship to that. Hit OK. Go to this one, image size. This is also a vertical. 72 with a height of 2500. Hit OK. Same thing here. Image size. 72, height of 2500. OK. Last one. Oh, not that one. This one. Image size. Start with resolution. This one is a horizontal, so the width is the long edge. There we go. All right, we've resized all of those images correctly. Now we're just going to go in and save them. So now to save them, I'm going to go File, Save a Copy. Not save as, but save a copy. Okay, there is a naming convention for this assignment. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's going to be something like your name underscore what number the file is, right? So you have to turn in 20 files to me. So you're going to have them named as like your name underscore 01, 02, 03, 04, whatever. I'm going to save these in my ART255 folder. If I open this little menu, I can even pick the subfolder of edited images. I want to save it as a JPEG, and I'm going to hit save and leave the quality at 12. Okay. I'm going to go to the next one, File, Save a Copy. I'm going to save it into edited images for the web. I'm going to call this Buzzy underscore 02. Definitely make sure to look at the assignment to see what the naming convention is that I'm telling you to use. There, I'll do one more save. File, Save a Copy, Buzzy underscore 03. Save it in my edited images as a JPEG, hit save. Okay, so now if I go to my edited images folder on my external hard drive, out here, edited images for the web. If I double click on that, here are my edited images ready for my website. So that is the saving of your images. Now let's jump. Actually, I'm going to pick up in the next video. I'm going to make one more video about the non-raw edits and some troubleshooting. Okay, see you in the next video.